Right guys, so all this fanning about on Hill 124 was to prepare the road for the assault onto this village. We're moving in with an entire rifle company and 2 platoons of T-34 tanks. We don't know the exact German compositional strength, but we know that they're going to have infantry, some assault guns, Stugs that is, and a Tiger somewhere in the village. Recon suggests that most of them are going to be within the village itself. However, it does look like we could expect some observation posts or even light defences to cover the road or the bridge over here. There's a lot of open ground around the village, so this kind of swampy area is going to be a really useful bit of terrain to help my infantry get up to the front. We've got some pretty substantial fire support available, a battery of 76mm guns, and we're also going to have some reinforcements. So that's another platoon of sappers, another battery of fire support that we can call in, as well as 2 self-propelled guns and 2 extra tanks. They'll be approaching from the northwest. So let's get into the game and have a look at the actual lie of the land. First thing I'm noticing are these 2 bridges that are probably the only way that our tank's going to be able to get in to the village to start off with. So we've got one over here to the west side of the village and one over here to the north side. Those are both going to be covered by the assault guns for sure, whether they're actually within the village or perhaps hiding in some of this foliage around the sides here. It's going to be absolute slaughter for our infantry to approach over this open ground here, so I want to avoid that at all costs really, and if I can, use these trees and then perhaps form some sort of base of fire across this patch of swamp. So coming out the forest, we've got pretty good sight lines across this area here. I'm wondering how easy it's going to be for our tanks to get through this ditch, whether it will be passable at all. I mean, it looks wide enough. It looks like it could even provide a handy little cover spot for our infantry. So my initial thoughts are that I'm going to push the majority of the infantry through this foliage in the middle and get them to spread out into this riverbed before making a final assault onto the village. I'm going to split my 2 tank teams, 1 for each bridge, so I'll have 1 platoon covering this side and 1 platoon covering that side. However, before that platoon gets out to there, I want some sort of smoke barrage to allow them to get into position and also for my infantry to get into this ditch. Right, so here's the initial plan of attack. We've got our 3 mortars deployed in the southeast corner of the map. They're going to be laying a line of smoke across this road and this tree line. Then 3rd squad down here will then be advancing across this open field under the smoke into this pocket of trees here, whilst 1st squad and 2nd squad over here are going to advance through this central bit of forest here. At the moment, I've got them all just slowly moving through the forest here in order to establish themselves ready to actually kick off onto the attack itself. I'm hoping they'll just keep a fairly low profile, won't attract too much attention, and the 2 machine guns from the machine gun platoon are going to be setting up in this little bit of forest, hopefully just giving us an overarching line of fire across the trees here, but hopefully that won't be of too much use because the smoke should be covering us and we'll move them up later. The tanks, I'm just going to leave them in reserve for the moment, so they're going to move up potentially along this road, this little dirt track here, here and here to cover the infantry as they go across, though I'm really hesitant to move this 2nd Company HQ tank up along there until we've got some infantry closer up to spot for him, but the 2nd Platoon HQ tank might just move along there. Because he'd be useful to fire his gun and machine gun across this little bit of open ground, which 1st and 2nd squad are going to have to cross. So let's kick it off and see how things go. Initial ranging shots coming off from the mortars here. Machine gun platoon is beginning to slowly advance to the forest. I really don't want to take any risks this early on. really cautious. It doesn't matter. They don't need to move quickly until the smoke barrage is done, and that's going to be about 3 minutes until it's fully ready. Moving at a cautious pace through the woods here. Don't want to take any risks. We're going to use the smoke. The line slowly advancing. See our men just taking no risks whatsoever, crawling through. Right, so the smoke barrage is pretty much down now. I'm not entirely sure how long it's going to last, so the first thing I'm going to do is move first tank and first platoon HQ tank up to just the edge of their forest, so that hopefully that smoke will allow them to safely get into position and establish observation. With those in Overwatch, I've then asked third platoon to run across this open gap here with the sniper covering and the HQ, just making a bit of a base of fire in the middle of the area there. I'll leave the other two squads advancing as they were previously. Third platoon is now breaking across the open ground. I was a little bit concerned about something in this area, but it's been fairly well observed for quite a while now, so it looks relatively clear. Finally, no contact so far. Not that you would really be able to see anything in that smoke. Right, so the position we're in now, third platoon of infantry has crossed over to this area of the forest. They are all going to be pretty knackered from that run and the belly crawling they did previously. So they're pretty much going to have a quick pause while they're up there and then start moving slowly into that bit of the forest. In the meantime, the smoke's beginning to fade roughly over here, so I thought it would be a good time to jaunt first and second squad over to that part of the forest. My only concern here is that I hadn't realised that actually first and second squad had carried over from the prior mission and had not had a chance to resupply at all. And they are extremely under strength. Like, for example, second squad A team is literally just 2 men. Here, second squads of first platoon is down to 5 men. So they're all going to have to work extremely closely together. It's not a huge bit of forest, so I'm hoping that that's going to help. But when those sappers come out, they're going to be a real help. And also, I'm going to have to let third platoon over here take a lot of the main action when moving into the forest, moving through the forest into the village. And I'm going to hope that the artillery softens them up somewhat as well. So I am taking this opportunity while the smoke is still in evidence to move first tank over this bit of open ground here. Looks like we've got enemy spotted. Definite enemy contact in a foxhole over there. Probably been spotted by second squad. Looks like they've chosen not to open fire just yet. Oh, sniper opens fire. What a shot. Oh, good lord, he's absolutely nailed it in there. Can't even see the body. After running across a field, takes a moment, probably about 10 seconds, and then just drops a German as soon as he's there. Temnov is one to watch, hopefully. Yeah, definitely starting to receive some heavy machine gun fire down in the tree line here. They've got some pretty good concealment. Haven't taken any casualties just yet, touch wood. Looks like there's a crossfire from those machine guns now. I've moved one of my artillery observers forward, and I've just asked for a light linear artillery barrage with the mortars onto this little spot here, just to put some pressure on those machine guns and hopefully soften that position up for my infantry as they continue the advance. I'm really just resting third platoon at the moment because they've had a long sprint across that open ground, and then they've also come under fire there, so they're all a bit knackered. So I think if I just let them catch their breath, they're going to be much more effective when I ask them to sort of slowly hunt through this section of forest and hopefully perform a bit of a pincer on the machine gun position there. Looks like Karakazov here has eyes on this machine gun team and is firing at them. Don't know if we've caused... Looks like there might be another casualty there. That machine gun team has been suffering at the hands of our snipers, which is really nice. Looks like some effective fire here on these foxholes. I mean, I don't expect it to be actually killing the men inside, but if it's keeping their heads down while our men are advancing, that's no problem. We've got plenty of ammunition, I believe. So our reinforcements have arrived, and don't they look good? That we've got a IS-2 with its big old 120mm gun. Second IS-2 here, and then we've got an ISU-152, two ISU-152s, and each of them has got a bevy of men on the back ready to join the fight, which is really nice. And I think we'll be using those as the main bulk of the final assault. Our sappers are here. They've got some PPSHs, demolition charges. One of them actually has a flamethrower team on them, which is awesome. It's two men. One's got a PPSH, the other's got the ROKS-3 flamethrower. And they're escorted by another squad of sappers. So we've actually got three flamethrower teams here. That's really nice, as well as a sapper platoon HQ. I think I'm going to keep them mounted on the tanks for now, for sure. I think the two assault guns are going to do very well in this open area here, if I can use a smoke barrage to put them into position. So what I shall be doing is using Fetisov here to call in a smoke barrage across this little trench, and then I will move those two assault guns into position. So in fact, I'll just get those guys here now. We have also called in our barrage with one of our Ziz gun batteries for a long, heavy barrage all over this radius of the village here. So that is going to be the softening. It's going to come in about 5 minutes. It's going to be a while before it lets up, so it should give us plenty of time to maneuver our men into position, and hopefully we can time it just right so that we are storming the village as it finishes. We're taking infantry contacts in the forest here. Another OP here that's been suppressed. It's definitely overrun and out surrounded. I think I shall be asking third squad to assault this as soon as they can. First platoon HQ tank has managed to move up to the middle of the field here. I'm pretty sure there are no AT threats remaining. First tank is in the forest there, firing in support of third platoon, which is good, just alleviating some of the crossfire they're taking from a machine gun team across the way there. Pretty accurate fire, which is great. The remains of this outlying observation point. One man left, and he's decided that he no longer wants to fight the Red Army. I'm sure the majority of his comrades will be convinced of the same thinking before long. Our extremely loud IS-2s are now just getting into position to assault across this open bit of terrain here on the left side of the village, or the west side I should say, and our artillery spot is pretty much in position now to call in his smoke barrage too, so we'll get that on the go. The assault by third platoon is pretty much at the bridge now. Looks like they've cleared out any German positions here, which is great. I'm gonna hopefully move them into those sandbags to get some vision and a base of fire into the village. The IS-2s are now moving up to a slightly more forward position, just so that they'll be ready to deliver their sappers into the combat zone as soon as the artillery barrage hits and we're ready to take the town. Our machine gun team that we spotted here earlier is just taking a little bit of fire at the third squad. Hopefully are keeping their head down because of the artillery. It should be a pretty extended duration artillery strike. beginning to wonder whether the artillery, for a 4-gun battery, whether this is a bit of a big target, whether I should have committed all 8 guns to this rather than saving 4 to head to smoke this section here. I mean, it does seem to be having a pretty decent effect. It's hitting a wide area, it's kicking up a lot of dust, hopefully keeping some heads down. Should be preparing the target pretty nicely. 3rd platoon heading out to take these sandbag positions near the bridge. Not receiving any fire just yet. I've decided that this piece of woodland near the lake's edge would be an ideal position for the machine guns, so I'm trying to move them over there, but they'll be a little while moving as they were so lagged behind. Looks like we spotted some more German positions over here. Good to have 2nd Squad 3rd Platoon firing at that. Looks like we've spotted another German position here, which has inflicted more casualties on 2nd Squad. These sapper squads dismounting from the top of the IS-2s are going to run through this bit of woodland while the artillery bombardment's continuing. They'll be supported by 2nd and 1st Platoon, who are already taking this first little stretch of ground here. And hopefully they'll have an established position, and as soon as the artillery bombardment stops, they'll be able to start moving into the town. And I want them to show where the enemy armour is, so that it's hopefully firing or doing something to reveal its positions when my armour support finally crosses these bridges. Sporadic German contacts from 1st and 2nd Platoon here. Looks like they've run into a machine gun team which is opening fire on the sappers who are trying to cross the gap. They're taking some casualties. A little bit frustrated that 3rd Squad here, even though there's only 2 of them, aren't doing anything to aid their comrades really. There's enough men here that one machine gun team should not be able to hold them all down. 2nd Squad is assaulting, but they're getting caught in a crossfire here, which is most frustrating. However, we have got tanks on station here, who I'm hoping should be able to contribute some fire. Sappers are still moving up here, having real difficulty. It looks like the Germans are trying to retreat. Here we have it, ladies and gentlemen. The Tiger has been spotted, and unsurprisingly, it's sitting right at the back there, covering this left-hand bridge, which 1st Platoon HQ is trying to cross. So we don't want him to do that now. I'm going to get him to reverse up here and get one of the IS-2s to come and deal with this, or perhaps even get them all to bum rush the position. The artillery barrage continues. Despite that one running with a machine gun squad, it looks like our sappers and 2nd Squad have managed to force them out of that position. They've got surrenders and they're also trying to retreat, but I don't think they're going to make it out. The Tiger, though we've spotted it, and who has spotted it in fact, it's 2nd Squad here. It hasn't opened fire. Both of our tanks managed to get out of that position, and the machine gun squad has been put out of action on the right there by fire from 1st tank. Those machine guns there are still trying their best, and they're doing some work against our sappers, unfortunately. We've lost 4 men from that one team. I did not want the IS-2 to approach at this angle as it moves in line with the bridge. It can see the Tiger now. It's turning. The armour facing's good. It's at an angle. Should hopefully have the gun laid. The Tiger will definitely have this bridge ranged in, so that's a concern, but hopefully the artillery's shaking it. Oh, it just goes over the top of the IS-2. IS-2 returns fire, hits the weapon mount, partial penetration. That is going to do no favours for the Tiger's ability to return fire. The assault squads in 1st Platoon here have managed to spot briefly one of the enemy Stugs, which is taking cover there. It should be shaken from the assault gun, the artillery barrage. I've started to move our ISU 152s here into position now the smoke screen's been laid, and they will be disgorging their sappers, who will then take position in that ditch. And I've also begun to move our 2 remaining T-34s into this open field with the cover of the smoke. The ISU here taking another shot across. It's seen the Stug. That 122mm shell just pounds straight through the front armour, hits the magazine or some other vital component, and that Stug, don't think it even managed to get a particular shot off. I think it's also fair to say that the Tiger has been knocked out. Doesn't seem to be doing anything, even though it has targets in sight. It actually took a hit right on the barrel there. It's just taken another hit from artillery, I think. Would not surprise me if the crew had bailed out. With the Stug knocked out and the Tiger, or at least stunned to the point where it's not going to be causing any more troubles, I think it's been hit again there by our IS-2. Don't think it's out of the fight just yet. There's a lot of smoke. I mean, I don't know if it's just deployed its own smoke launchers there. No, the tank's been knocked out, and there the crew is bailing out as well. And immediately being hit by machine gun fire. No love lost for Tiger crews on the eastern front. With the Tiger knocked out, our tanks are now crossing the bridge on the east side of the village. Looks like it's a pretty narrow bridge. They're only just about getting across. But across they go. Just sending the light tanks in first. Nothing to worry about from that Tiger, as imposing as it looks. Our assault teams now are in the edge of the forest and should be able to put some good fire on this German team. And the artillery barrage is properly over now, so we're going to start assaulting into the edge of the town and capturing the village. Town, village, make your mind up. Capturing the village proper. You can see the two objectives, the village itself and the crossroads here. We've got half an hour left in the game at this point, so it should be a fairly easy matter with all of our tanks to return fire. The assault continues here. The sappers on the left have gotten held up and suppressed by that machine gun team, but the fire from the assault gun here has pretty much put an end to their ambitions of stopping anything, so hopefully they'll get up and continue their move. I ordered a little emergency artillery barrage on this house as it had a machine gun team on it. And now the assault proper from the jumping off point has begun, and they are taking some fire, but it looks like it's only submachine gun fire, taking a couple of casualties. Really intense capturing this wall here. Machine gun team on the German side gives up there, decides they've had enough. Third squad here were supposed to be advancing up into this little bit of extra terrain here, which would give them a good overview of the whole village, but it looks like they've been scared off. Looks like one of our ISU 152s has taken a hit here. I'm guessing that there is a penetration on its frontal armour, and they only have the loader and the driver left, so it's going to be operating under enormously reduced capacity. But I'm really interested to know what's actually managed to do that to them, because the Tiger's knocked out, the other Stug's been knocked out. I'm pretty sure there'll be one more Stug left, but I wouldn't say he's necessarily within easy reach of a Panzerschreck, or that a Panzerschreck would go through its frontal armour. So I'm going to be keeping a close eye out here and hoping that it's able to recover to maybe at least fire the gun, and that our other T-34 here is going to be okay. Yeah, it's reversing. Looks pretty sensible to me. Yep, the other assault gun here has been revealed on the left. It's sneakily hiding off on the left here. Good positioning. However, it has now been spotted by our other ISU 152, and hopefully the T-34 there as well. Third assault gun sitting in the middle of the town there. Hopefully that's going to be picked up by somebody and acted on. The assault gun should have good vision of it. T-34 does. It's been penetrated, but has managed to return fire on the upper front hull. The armour's spalled and hopefully is hurting the opponent. The tank does seem to be reversing. Second shot misses. Flamethrowers have advanced up to the edge of the wall here. Definitely a big help. So here's the lay of the land at the moment. We're taking a lot of casualties in the crossing over here. So we've got suppressed men down there and some casualties. And we've spotted those additional 2 assault guns on the left side or the western side of the village here. Third squad is advancing through these trees and should be able to lock down the northernmost end of the village and then hopefully sort of pincer into the crossroads, which seems to be pretty heavily fortified. The infantry assault's continuing here. They are taking fire from this house in the centre of the town. Tank fire flying over the back there. Bravely continuing to assault. But the volume of return fire is not the most encouraging. Taking a lot of casualties here. I think if we can somehow get the flamethrowers to attack these 2 centre buildings, it would be a big help. Flamethrowers have vision of our 3rd assault gun, which is trying to back off here. However, the ISU-152 sees it, and the superstructure's just been hit by one of those huge rounds, and I think it's fair to say that's good night Irene for that Stug. I'm also hoping that this one over here has been knocked out. Yeah, it has been knocked out. So hopefully that's the entire assault gun complement for the enemy destroyed. Some resistance up here on the northern edge of town. Taking some light casualties, but proceeding with the assault pretty fervently otherwise. Just beginning to get the tanks to shell these 2 buildings on the left of the village, as there are unknown contacts in the secondary ammo explosions from the Stug over there. The assault's continuing. The volume of German fire is steadily decreasing as the tanks are able to move up and just put an end to that. Taking a few more casualties with 3rd platoon here as they get ready to assault the building here, but I'm hoping that the tank should be able to help out with that. Our sappers have reached the end building on the street here, which is pretty good. They've got some demo charges, so hopefully they'll be able to chuck a couple of those into any neighbouring buildings. The flamethrower squads are moving through the centre of the town here. We've managed to take one of the central buildings, and we're starting to pour fire onto the next building along here. Just burning them out seems to be like a pretty good idea, and then we can just advance to the crossroads. The might of Soviet industry can quickly replace the housing here, so don't have to worry about that on our conscience. Just got some fire coming from one of our T-34s across to this house, which was previously holding a machine gun. We'll stop that after the end of the next turn, but I think after that it should be fine. And it looks like we've got heavy retreats and heavy fire on the crossroads position, which we'll advance to shortly. And we've still got 26 minutes on the clock, so we can be relatively relaxed about this, to be honest, though. I don't think we're going to be facing too much resistance, and I'm not unduly upset about the losses that we've taken so far. Pretty swift advance of our 2nd squad and 1st platoon and the pioneer, or I should say sapper units, through the centre of the town after they've been burning through some of those buildings with flamethrowers and hopefully discouraging anybody inside to return fire. But obviously it does mean that I don't really want to send my men in case they're still on fire. Oh, and apparently we've won. Soviet Guards total victory. So we've secured both our ground targets. Our ground targets? Yeah, we've got the crossroads, we've got the bridge, we've got the village. So I guess that means it's secured because there's no more German units in there. And we've also destroyed 2,000 units worth of 2,000 points worth of targets. So let's see. Wow, we actually only got 24 men killed, 18 men wounded. I thought it would be a little bit more than that, but I think we were already working with quite depleted forces, so I guess my kind of feeling that it wasn't too bad was pretty good. We actually lost none of our armoured vehicles this time. Massive improvement from last mission, which I'm really pleased for, and we also knocked out 4 tanks and a load of other little vehicles that were parked up in the village, so I'm pretty pleased with that, and we've got over 90 German casualties with only 1/3 of their force escaping, or 1/4. So guys, this is the end of the training campaign, which is the prelude, I suppose, to the main Soviet campaigns, which will be kicking off in the next episode. I hope you've all enjoyed it thus far, and obviously if you have, please help the channel grow. Chuck us a subscribe, a like, tell your friends and family. Please as well hop in the Discord to chat about any of the episodes or anything else gaming or channel related. Otherwise, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.